This was a few years ago when I was apprentice at a school in the UK. I hated it. The actual apprenticeship learning was fine, but the job was IT support, but they had me photocopying for a year. But I wanted the qualification. Anyway, we had two copiers that I noticed were incapable of printing proper booklets. You were supposed to put two A4 pages on A3, fold it, and then it would do the staples in the middle. It's hard to explain properly, but long story short, the copiers would jam. I did, however, find a different way. I would put them on A4 pages and then the staples would be on the side and it would function as a booklet. Everyone seemed fine with the arrangement. Well, almost everyone. There was two people who had an issue. One was a maths teacher, Mount, who wanted a proper booklet for a mock test, and one was the financial officer, Fo, who was supposed to be my line manager but never helped me. Instead, the most helpful person was the guy who used to do the copying, who had my back on the whole debacle. We'll call him Tom. Not real name. Anyway, the maths teacher said I need IT like this. IT can't be any other way. I told her this would not be possible. Both the Fo and Tom came over and me and Tom explained the problem, but Mount and Fo incited. I decided to comply, knowing it wouldn't work, so I could prove my point. So I started it on both copiers to do it faster. Instead of 80 on one, it would be 40 on two machines. Both machines ended up jamming. One I could sort out, and when I showed both Fo and Mount it didn't work, they accepted the other way I did it. However, one of the machines jammed so badly that we had to get a mechanic out to come and fix the machine. Which not only cost money but put the machine out of action for a day or so. Was ever so slightly smug. My dad has told me this story a few times, and after recently finding the subreddit I think it fits right in. Background: my dad in 1987 had to enter the military and do his mandatory service. In Germany you had to either do community service or military service. Before the military he played handball professionally, so he could throw quite far. Now on to the actual story. The drill sergeant in charge of training had decided that they will be doing grenade training. They drive out to the grenade range that has a fence at the end of it, and past that fence is a residential area. The drill sergeant gives each man a practice grenade, basically a glorified firecracker, and tells each man to throw the grenade as far as he can. The conversation that follows went something like this. "My dad, sir, I can throw far." Drill sergeant: "Stop arguing, private, and throw the damn grenade." My dad proceeded to throw the grenade as far as he can. Over the grenade range, over the fence, right in the middle of the residential area. A practice grenade has just exploded in a residential area where there are lots of civilians. Not great PR. The drill sergeant continues, gets pissed, drags my dad to the man in charge of the base and asks my dad to explain himself. He simply says, "But sir, you told me to throw as far as I can." He got off scot-free, to continue to reluctantly do his service. This happened this past week. I work for a big chain department store, and at this time of year payroll hours are thin on the ground. We also have big aisle resets going on at this time. One of my co-workers did show up for a shift, and management asked me to pick up a shift the next day to finish the work she left for us. I agreed, and my team lead and I hashed out a good time and set aside 4 hours of work for me for the next day, which was a Thursday. I normally have school on Thursdays, and my TL was understanding in that I was coming in on what would normally be a day off and was okay with me working a short shift with the express purpose of finishing the set and then leaving right away. His boss, however, was not so understanding. She told me that I had to either work the full 8-hour shift or I shouldn't bother coming in. Well, school is really important. A sentiment my parents have ingrained in me since childhood, so I said okay and finished my shift. Thursday comes around and I slept in, did some work ahead for class, then went to class. Midday on Thursday my base calls and it goes something like this. "Boss, slag, where are you?" Me, "Driving to class, how can I help you?" "Boss, why aren't you at work?" Me, "You said full shift or no shift. I have class on Thursdays." I chose class. Many moons ago my boyfriend bestowed upon me that most difficult of tasks, making dinner. Now, I'm Scottish, so dinner is anything within the broad spectrum of beige, brown and deep fried. In an attempt to counter this, my boyfriend made sure I listened when he said make sure there's some kind of vegetable with it. So I hunter-gather my way to the local Tesco and get the needed frozen foodstuffs: Bernard Matthews turkey dinosaurs, McCain's beer battered oven chips, fries for you Merkins, and a bag of frozen peas. I get home, heat the oven up, distribute the offerings to the gods of noms and shove most of it in the oven, peas aside. So while the beige is getting veggier, I shove a handful of peas into a bowl of water ready to put in the microwave a few minutes before the rest is done. My boyfriend has a look at what gastrointestinal disaster I'm preparing and he quips, "That is now way enough peas for the two of us." I don't actually want the many peas. "Just add more, I'll have them." "No, that'll be enough, trust me. Just add more peas." So I take out the peas and he watches as I add more and more peas. I've quadrupled them at this point. There is easily enough peas for 5 people here. There's 2 of us. That's more like it. Now it'll be a bit healthier, fine. You want healthy and I don't want many peas, so be it. The food finishes cooking and I serve it up. I place the chips down like some kind of forest and position the dinosaurs in the most lifelike position I can with cardboard-like meat shapes. I drained the water from the peas, put a single spoonful on my plate and dumped the entire contents on his plate. That scene I made? It's entirely hidden under an even layer of peas. I perform the ancient ritual that my mother taught me, and her mother taught her, and her mother taught her. I shout upstairs from the kitchen, through 3 closed doors, with the power of a gay guy that wants his drama llama snacks, because I was a gay guy hungry for drama llama snacks, that dinner is ready. He comes downstairs, sits down and is given his dinner. I don't want all these peas. Why are there so many? I'm not in the mood for peas and you wanted more, so I've taken what I wanted and I've given you the rest. At least it's healthy. I would like to begin by saying that my parents are in no way bad parents. They always provided for me and looked out for my brother and one am very grateful to have them. But malicious compliance gets even the best of us. This all occurred when I was about 10 to 11. I've always been fiercely independent, to a fault at times, and cooking was one of those things I had to be completely and utterly alone to do. Let's just say I took the old proverb "too many cooks spoil the broth" both literally and to an extreme. One night, I volunteered to make spaghetti and, naturally, shooed everyone out of that side of the house. My parents weren't too pleased about being banished from the main living/TV/kitchen area. Open planning is a bitch apparently, but they complied, begrudgingly of course. Everything was going well, pasta was cooking, meat had been browned and sauce had been mixed in. But one crucial point was missing. The herbs. We kept our herbs in the cabinet just above the stove range hood, and I, being the hobbit that I was, needed to use a stool to get up there. I hopped up onto the stool and grabbed one of the glass bottles of herbs, only for it to slip from my grasp and shatter on the floor. Looking behind me, I saw it was broken and stepped back down to clean it up. That's when my foot got some nice glass action. I must have misjudged the distance because I stepped on the largest shard that was there, resulting in the center of my foot becoming impaled. The pain came in a jolt, but the sting after destroying my foot was only mild. So I yanked the piece of glass out, only for a tidal wave of blood to come pouring out. It wasn't just dripping out, it was spurting, that's what she said. I called for my parents to come and assist, but to no avail. Again I called, and then again. Eventually I got back on my one good foot, and hopped over to the other side of the house. "Where were you?" I bellowed in a mixture of anger and confusion. My parents were on the couch, a grin on their faces. "I thought you wanted to cook alone?" My mom almost giggled. I lifted up my foot so they could see, and immediately the smile dropped. Long story short, I needed to get very poorly done, but that's another story. Stitches, and we still ate the spaghetti. It didn't stop an "I told you so" from my dad though.